everybody, and welcome to another edition of the TennisONE podcast. Madison Golden, Patrick Kuhle, and it's St. Patrick's Day. So as you can see, Patrick is sporting, for those watching on YouTube, he's sporting his green Wilson hat. So happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. And also happy Indian Wells / start of Miami in just a few days. So we're getting ramped up with that. But Patrick was actually lucky enough to be able to go to Indian Wells. So Patrick, can you just let the fans know kind of your experience for those of us who have not been fortunate enough yet to get to go to the tennis paradise?
Yeah, tennis paradise. It's so funny that we use that hashtag for everything. You know, in the past, I think it was like hashtag BNPPO22 or something like that. But this year, they're really letting you know this is the best place to come to a tennis tournament. It's beautiful there. It's just with the mountains in the background. There's palm trees. You can see the snow on top of the mountains just when you're like sitting in the stands. You know, as they say, it's a dry heat, like it's not sweaty. It's just a perfect place. So, you know, I think that's why you see so many players. They play singles and a lot of them play doubles. I think the prize money might be a little better as well, but people want to stay there as long as possible. I know that, you know, I used to work at Wilson and do a photo shoot. All the different tennis companies have their marketing photo shoots there the week before the tournament starts, because again, the players come early because they just want to be in you know, the desert. And it's even that first week before the tournament starts is really fun if you work in the tennis industry, because like I said, so many people are out there to do photo shoots or whatever. And there's parties. There was the Desert Smash event, which maybe some of you guys saw, with celebrities playing tennis at La Quinta, which is just a beautiful resort and sort of like a tennis paradise. It's been around a long time and has a lot of history, but they hosted an event there, so that was cool. But yeah, I had to go. It was the first time I've been to the tournament since 2019, because
Wow.
I was out there in 2020. We were doing the photo shoot, and all of a sudden Alex DiMinar gets a text and it's just like, holy shit, they just canceled the tournament. And
Oh my God. Oh yeah, because it was literally right then.
yeah, it was.
Oh my
Everybody
gosh.
was out there. Everything on the grounds was set up. Like, I remember Tennis Warehouse, they have a giant tent that has every tennis company in there in terms of rackets and clothing, and they had all that set up ready to go. And yeah, they canceled it, and it was kind of, you know, that was March 2020, and we all
Oh,
know, yeah,
shook the world for sure.
yeah. So it was awesome to be back out there. I mean, there were too many people excited to be there, because I'll maybe talk about this later, but I'll just say on Saturday of the actual tournament being played, I've never seen so many people at a tennis tournament. And there's good things about that and bad things. I can talk about it later, but yeah, just tons of people excited to be out there. And I could have stayed longer, but like you said, we're doing Miami Open and going to be down there for almost 3 weeks. So had to get back. Have a fiance.
Yeah. And a dog.
And a dog. Yeah. He missed me.
Well, you mentioned celebrities and the celebrity tennis match, the Desert Smash. Pink played in it. I'm wondering, because I'm, as we know, I'm like the resident pop culture, love news, love celebrity gossip, all that stuff. Did you see any other celebrities while you were there?
Let's see. I know Steve Carell was there. He just loves to watch tennis. I mean, he was at the US Open. Obviously, he played Bobby Riggs in that movie, Battle of the Sexes, a few years ago.
Yeah.
So he's a big tennis guy. I think it was pretty well documented that Steve Nash and Dirk Nowitzki were both there, because they're big tennis players themselves. I know they both played junior tennis and are good. I think they're friends of Tommy Haas. So they were a lot
Steve
of times.
Nash is really good. We saw him play in San Diego, the celebrity match in 2021, and he was unbelievable.
Yeah, he definitely played junior tennis, and so did Dirk. But, you know, especially for Dirk being, you know, eventually he got so tall, it just made sense. I think maybe basketball was the better route for him, but he can still, he hits a 1-0, so he's legit. But yeah, it was cool to see. Actually, Steve Nash was tweeting that both he and Dirk thought Carlos Alcaraz is the best athlete in the world in any sport. So we'll take that.
Wow, what a take in any sport.
In any sport. I mean, obviously every sport requires something different, but not going to argue with him. I mean, especially after if anybody saw last night's match against Felix Auger-Aliassime, Alcaraz is just like, he just gets absolutely everything. Like at one point, the Jim Courier commentating the match was just like, he's there. How in the world is he there? Like, how does Alcaraz get to every one of these balls? And just, yeah, he's something else. So, but yeah, I think those are the three celebrities I know of. But I actually have one that I want to ask you about right now. Did you see what happened with your girl, Morgan Riddle?
I did. I saw she went viral for it. Do you want to kind of walk everybody through the situation, and then I can kind of comment on how she poked fun at herself?
Exactly. So Martin Fucsovics, who is from Hungary, is a professional tennis player, has done very well in this tournament, and is jacked, just super cut, looks like a statue when he takes his shirt off. And as players often do on the court, they take their shirts off to change because the shirts are so sweaty or whatever. And he took his shirt off, and it was on camera. And of course, the crowd is sort of wooing and stuff, letting them know they appreciate it. But the broadcast feed cut to Morgan Riddle at one point. They showed a series of women just sort of smiling as he's, and then it ended with Morgan Riddle, who's Taylor Fritz's girlfriend, and Taylor Fritz was playing in the match against Fucsovics. And she was also sort of, it appeared smiling and sort of gawking, but Tennis TV, I believe, was the one that tweeted the video, and Morgan quote tweeted it and said, "This was a targeted attack." So she thinks it's a conspiracy, I guess, huh?
Yeah, like you said, it's just kind of funny that, obviously her boyfriend was playing, but then that was the reaction that was caught on camera. But yeah, she ended up making a couple of TikToks, actually like further poking fun at herself, kind of saying, I ended up going viral on Twitter, not the first time. And, for something as funny as that. And then she actually cut the clip of her reaction and fused it together with Taylor playing. So it was kind of like she took that to kind of make it more look like, and I also wonder, because I know that they were mic'd up for quite a few matches for the next season of Breakpoint. I wonder if that was at all caught or if that will be incorporated into Breakpoint. It will be interesting. But nevertheless, it was funny. I'm a fan of her. I like her. I like Tommy Paul's girlfriend as well. So I'm here for it.
Is she like she's in a, like, she rides horses, it seems like. I'm always seeing Tommy posting on his story riding horses these days, and I don't recall that before he was with her. So do you know, is she like into horseback riding?
Yeah. So she was in New York City, kind of like an New York City socialite, so to speak. But then she actually like made this whole podcast talking about, the toxicity of living in New York City and how she wanted to just be in nature. And she's a big fan of horseback riding. She was a big skier. So she actually bought like this farmhouse in Connecticut.
Wow.
And they go horseback riding. And she actually took Tommy Paul skiing for the first time that he's ever skied. And he actually did really well. Obviously, the guy's a given athlete, but skiing and tennis, that doesn't necessarily go hand in hand. So
yeah, and it makes me a little nervous. I think I remember when was that? Maybe a couple months ago, Federer posted a video of him skiing, and he said it was the first time he'd done it in more than 10 years. Maybe he said like 14 or 15 years. Or it's you're taking a big risk if you're a professional athlete and you go skiing. I don't care how good you are.
That's true.
A lot of people that aren't good, and anything can happen out there. So
yeah, that's a good point. Risking the tears. Thankfully, he was wearing a helmet. I'm such a big advocate for wearing a helmet when you're doing anything like that. So you got to do that. But yeah, that's a good point. You never know. You can tear, even just getting off the ski lift.
No, literally anything can happen every time. I mean, maybe I'm just a klutz, but every time I go skiing, something happens. Currently dealing with like a slightly broken finger from the last time. So
yeah.
I don't know, if you're a pro tennis player, especially Tommy's playing so well, I would just say, take it easy on the extreme sports that, even horseback riding, you can get thrown off that thing, right?
That's a good point. Yeah. He did ski back in December. So at least it wasn't obviously, maybe, he played well after that. So
well,
take an annual ski trip.
Imagine if he'd gotten hurt skiing in December and no Australian Open run, and then, I'm sure he wouldn't be doing as well as he is now without that run. So, oof, that makes me nervous.
That's a good point. So, Tommy, if you're listening,
another time. Talk about our draft. Give the
yeah,
an update on our last episode. We drafted teams for Indian Wells. It was Madison, myself, and our colleague Laura Sunday, who didn't want to come on here and brag about leading the men. I told her that if she wasn't coming on, she's disqualified from the draft. So now, Madison, it looks like with that, you are leading the men. No, but yeah, Madison and I both, all of our players are out. And Laura still has 2 in. So she still has Medvedev and Yannick Sinner / Darren Cahill going strong. We had some tough I mean, I'll just say I was a little embarrassed when I realized that Nori and Wu were playing each other in the second round. I thought I had checked the draw on all my picks, but clearly that one I just winged. And yeah, that was not good.
But you were guaranteed a winner. I mean, if they both could have lost if they didn't play each other. You never know.
True, but it was just like in the second round, I'm like, oh God, that is a hamstring or a handicapping myself big time there. But let's see, you had Tommy Paul, who, my God, he had 6 match points. Felix, I don't know if you saw that, but
I did. It was tough.
Oh. Yeah, that's a tough one to lose, but
and I'm sure that hurts. I didn't play tennis, but you did. I'm sure that type of situation really hurts.
I mean, I've definitely had matches where I had match points and lost, but these were not matches being played at the highest levels of tennis where there's so much money on the line as well. And so I remember how much it hurt then. I can only imagine. Oh, I mean, Pagula actually tweeted the other day, you know, you saw her match against Kvitova.
Yes. I was just going to say, yeah. And she tweeted about that, kind of basically saying like, that's the sport, right? Or
yeah, because she had 4 match points against Kvitova, and yeah, she ended up losing that match, unfortunately. And she just said she'll never get used to the ups and downs of the sport. And it is hard when you lose, you know, with big stakes, and you had all those chances to close, and probably tough to sleep at night after some of those. But hey, got to get back to it the next week. So
yeah. And from that standpoint, like how does one kind of reset, readjust after having that many opportunities to close out the match and make it to the next round? And like you said, get some big prize money.
Yeah, I would just say that you have to hit the practice courts and just start playing more tennis to just try to forget about it. You know, it honestly just kind of takes time. And, you know, if you can just get some more wins soon after that to try to get your confidence going again, that's the biggest thing. Tennis, it is shocking how much winning matches will help you to win more matches. Like when you're winning, you're feeling confident. And even if you're losing in a match, you feel like, oh, I can come back and, you know, I've got this person. Like they're winning now, but I know in my heart that I'm going to win this at the end. So like, I don't know. I feel like it's just getting more matches in and trying to have a short-term memory. They always say that the best tennis players have short-term memories. Probably the best athletes in general have that.
Right.
So yeah, but if the next time you play that person, that for sure will, you'll be thinking about that. So that kind of makes the next time you play them harder. But
yeah. And I feel like athletes always say it's hard to recollect and remember those big winning moments. Like, of course you do remember it, but you always remember when you lose.
Yeah.
So like you said, having a short-term memory, especially in a sport like tennis, being so individual, so mental, is very crucial, but I'm sure very difficult at times as well. So
yeah, you just gotta string a few wins together, which is what we're both trying to do here in the draft, having not won either of them. Although we'll just talk about the women, because the men, it's over. Laura won. Even
Laura killed us.
On the women, unfortunately, Madison, it looks like your players are out. Yep. Had some bad luck with Vekic losing early. I mean, she was going to go up against Sabalenka, so she may have lost there anyway, but She lost to Sarenko, who, did you see what happened with Sarenko at all?
No.
So she beat Vekic, and then she was going to play Sabalenka in, I believe, the third round of 32, and she pulled out.
Oh, yes.
She said she had a panic attack.
Ugh.
Yeah, I was pulling up the quote earlier just for people that didn't see the story. But basically, Sarenka, who is from Ukraine, has struggled a bit with, the playing when she plays against Russian and Belarusian players. But she had a conversation with the CEO of Women's Tennis Association, Steve Simon, about, sort of the situation as it currently stands. And, I believe whether or not the IOC was going to allow Russian and Belarusian players to play in the Olympics, which the IOC always allows players for the most part to compete, whether or not it has the flag. But basically she said she had a panic attack because Steve Simon told her that, even if some of these Russian, Belarusian players support the war, that's just their opinion. So you don't need to worry about it that much. And to her, that wasn't good enough. She's almost like, well, are you sort of keeping your eyes in a different direction, like not even thinking about the war and that type of thing. So I guess the comments kind of rubbed her the wrong way. And, she said to raise the question of how a person like Steve Simon can be a leader in the WTA and what should we do about it. And so, yeah, the article's in our app if you want to take a look in there in the news section. But yeah, so she unfortunately had a panic attack, which, kind of sucks for Vekic, that, you lose to somebody and then they pull out the next round. That's never fun. So
No, definitely not. Ugh.
Yeah.
And a tough situation. I mean, obviously, I can't imagine what players on either side of that are dealing with mentally.
Exactly. Not going to even pretend to know, but I know the Wimbledon is going to allow everybody to play this year. It sounds like Russian, Belarusian, just obviously no flag, but so at least we know Wimbledon will have points. That is a positive. So I think not having points was too bad, especially for like Rybakina, who won and didn't really feel like she got the recognition and is just now into the top 10. And we'll talk about her later because she's in the semis. But let's see. Okay, so just to recap the women's, currently Laura and I are tied with 8 points each. Laura still has Sakari, who came back in her quarterfinal match. I believe lost the first set. So, and she was the finalist last year, lost to, if anybody watched Breakpoint, they will know that. And then I have Swiatek and Sabalenka. So I have two.
You're looking real good right now, Patrick.
I'm looking good, but I'm not holding my breath yet until I see both players advance, or just, until it's mathematically final that I win. Can't brag yet, but
yep. You don't win until you win. So
you don't win until you win. Madison, we've done 2 drafts now. What do you think is kind of the most important thing to remember when we draft players?
Well, I think for myself personally, I tend to pick players that we've had really good experiences talking with, because that's part of our job. And I really enjoy talking to the players that I've been picking. So I think maybe I need to step away from that and not look at just their personality, but also look at how they've been playing. However, the players that I did pick are still very talented players.
No doubt.
It's just, like you said, there's been some tough early round losses or players who couldn't quite close it, like what happened with Fritz against Yannick Sinner last night. Just couldn't quite get it done. But yeah, overall, just got to look more at how they've been playing. And I think that would help me.
You had on the women's side, you had the only wild card that won her match. I picked Katie McNally. She lost to Navarro. Knew that was kind of a toss up, but I wanted to pick Stearns, but I was like, she's going to lose the second match for sure. But at least she won her first match. So, which cool for college tennis. A lot of
very exciting. And she actually played well her second match too. It went to 3 sets. So
exactly. So Peyton Stearns, people watch out. She's coming.
And her kit was great. I loved her outfit. It was so cute. It was like, it just looked so good on her. Yeah. And it was like a yellow, like a pastel-y kind of yellow. Very, very cute. So 10 out of 10.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, and then you had Vekic, Badosa, Pagula. I mean, Badosa lost to Rybakina. Pagula, we talked about. She lost. She had 4 match points. So maybe just some bad luck, really. It's not.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just how it is. So as I had Azarenka, who lost her first match. I thought that was a good pick because she had made the final just a few years ago, but her loss doesn't look so bad now. She lost to Karolina Muchova, who made the quarters, right? She lost
Yeah.
yesterday, I think. But yeah, anyway, so that's where we stand in the draft. Laura won the men's. I'm tied with Laura for the women's. Feeling good about it. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. You should be. It's pretty good. 2 players still left, and they're not they're pretty solid players. And they're in, they have a chance to play each other in the final potentially. So that's huge.
Yeah. So we'll see. Some internal bragging rights. Gotta love it. I'll be with Laura down in Miami for 2.5 weeks, so I'll get to rub it in her face in person if I win.
In person. There we go.
Anyway, should we let's just talk about a little Indian Wells before we make our predictions for semis and finals. Just wanted to ask, what's the best thing that you've seen during the tournament? What's been your favorite moment so far?
Yeah, so I think I think I have a couple, one for women's and one for men's. And I guess this isn't really necessarily one specific moment, but I absolutely love Jess Pagula and Coco Gauff as a doubles partnership. And anytime they play together, I just feel like the fans love it. They are so fun to watch. Like, they are my favorite. I want them to just win everything. They are just an incredible partnership. They're great people. I don't know. I just think that they're so fun to watch.
Yeah, they're always in sync. Have you seen when they win matches and they do their little twirl? It's like
Yes,
right on. So funny.
it's incredible. And they are just, yeah, 2 just very strong individual players. And as a doubles partnership, I mean, I just want them to go far each tournament. I know obviously this tournament, they didn't make it probably as far as they could have. Happens, and they're both playing singles as well, so obviously that's a lot of tennis for these women, but 2 very talented. And then on the men's side, the Taylor Fritz Ben Shelton match for me was pretty freaking epic.
Yeah, it was definitely to me still the most exciting matchup, like going into the match, right? Defending champ Taylor Fritz, first match. It was technically the second round because Fritz got a bye, but like first match at the tournament, never easy, especially if you're the defending champ and to have to play Ben first round. That's tough. So Taylor handled it really well.
He did. Did you see that? Were you there in person watching that one?
No, I actually didn't go into that one. I was watching some other matches earlier in the day, and then I had to leave the grounds for some family stuff. I got my aunt and uncle out there, so we watched the end of it we watched the third set on TV though. So I wish I could have gone to that match though.
It was crazy and sold out, right?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. Again, I'll talk about this, but they had no problem selling tickets this year. So we can talk about that a little later. But
yeah. Did you have your standout moments on either side or both sides?
Yeah, I tried to pick some moments since I was there. Just sort of, I guess I have one moment that has nothing to do with me being there, but one of my favorite things for this tournament was that Bjorn Borg and Jimmy Connors were both there. And I feel like those are 2 guys that are just absolute legends that you don't see that much in tennis. Jimmy does a podcast actually with his son. But as far as like being at tournaments, he's never that player where they're like panning to the crowd and, oh, here's Jimmy Connors, most ATP titles ever, basically. Like and same with Borg, other than Laver Cup, until recent years. And I remember Roger when he was retiring and he was like kind of getting real emotional in his press conference and was talking about how he wasn't going to be a ghost. And he actually mentioned Borg by name and how, he kind of wasn't around the sport for like 20 or 25 years after he retired. And Federer doesn't want to be that guy. He wants to make sure he's there and, promoting the sport as much as possible. So it was cool to see both them there and taking photos together and doing interviews. And there are a few Borg interviews in our app actually. And just from seeing the social numbers from posting those videos, I mean, one of the Borg videos has done the best of any of the other player videos we've posted. So people want to see him out. He's an absolute legend. And yeah, it's cool when you see those players showing up, especially if they haven't been around for a long time.
Yeah. And like you said, taking photos together, like that's,
yeah.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. So really enjoyed that. And then the other thing just about being there and just having worked in tennis, I just love seeing all the different people that work in tennis at the events. It's just fun to see them, especially from, COVID, where nobody was traveling or doing any of that. And especially our job, we work from home a lot. So I really enjoy getting to go and just see people and talk to people. And everybody was out there, that works in tennis almost. And it was great to just, you just end up talking to somebody for an hour and a half, just standing in the apparel tent because whatever, you just haven't seen them in a while. And so that was really fun. And I'm looking forward to more of that. I think my least favorite moment of the tournament, and I'll ask yours as well, but just because it kind of ties to that, there were so many people at this tournament on the first Saturday. Like I mentioned earlier, great for tennis. I'm glad they're selling lots of tickets, but you couldn't. I mean, it took 40 minutes to get to the front of like a drink line. My sisters came out. They haven't gone to a lot of pro tennis tournaments. They've been to some, but one of them had never been to Indian Wells and was super excited. And honestly, we had watched like 3 games of tennis in multiple hours, and the rest just kind of fell away to like logistics of trying to figure out what court to go to. And now we got to like wait in the line for the bathroom. Now we got to wait in the line to fill up our water bottles. Now we got to wait in the line to get some food. And like, yeah, it was just totally packed. And, I think that's like every event these days. Everybody's trying to make up for lost time. But on one hand,
it's a long line, line.
Great for tennis. But as far as an on-site experience, that was a little tough. I don't know what they can do besides maybe sell fewer grounds passes or whatever, but obviously they're trying to make up for, the years they didn't have the tournament as well, I'm sure. So what about you? Was there anybody that lost early, you didn't want to, or?
Well, I know I talked to you and Laura about this. I was just bummed that Fritz and Shelton played so early.
Yeah.
Like I wish that could have ended up being like a quarterfinals match or something. But obviously great for the tournament that early on they were able to. Other than that, seeing our players in the draft lose is always tough. So kind of seeing my players get knocked out one by one was a little tough, but that's tennis.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get. You never know.
It's tennis, and this tournament is really hard to pick. This tournament, because the courts are so slow, almost anybody can win. There's probably more upsets at this tournament than any. I mean, it's kind of like Roland Garros. That said, I think we netted out with some great semifinal matches here, both, on the men's and women's side. Pretty much everybody is ranked at least in the top 20, if not top 10. I think it looks like maybe Sinner and Tiafo are the two that are, they're in the top 20. But yeah, super exciting semifinals coming up, right?
Yeah, definitely. I was just pulling up the app to see. Yeah, like you said, on both men's and women's side. I don't know if they could really like ask for a better turnout on either side. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, seriously. Maybe we should call out, nobody picked Alcaraz in our men's draft. I think we all thought that the injury was maybe more serious, but similar to Nadal, I guess you can't doubt this kid when he's coming back.
Apparently, ever. And like you said, he doesn't miss. I mean, he
gets everything.
He makes so little mistakes.
Yeah. And I mean,
just unbelievable.
Just that crazy fast ground stroke paired with his drop shot is like just lethal to anybody. It's coming, but he hits it so hard you have to stand pretty far back and then drop shot. Oh. So yeah, Alcaraz, we're sorry. We won't make that mistake again. We will draft you even if you're limping into the tournament. Doesn't matter.
Nope, does not matter. Does not matter. We'll not quit. Should we make some predictions for what we think is gonna go down?
Let's do it. You want to start first let's start with the men here. Alcaraz and Sinner head to head is 2-2.
This one I was really racking my brain about because they've both played incredibly well. They are both so calm and collected on court. Like Yannick yesterday, he does not like his facial expressions. He's just kind of emotionless, even when he won. And that was a big match against Fritz. I mean, that was a huge win for him. never reacted. And I can't remember, was it his forehand that was like really, he hit a really fast, and they talked about it on the broadcast. I can't remember what the MPH was, but it was pretty hefty
He's definitely been
speed.
hitting the gym. If you just look at him versus even a year ago, or especially 2 years ago, he's honestly a pretty scrawny kid. He was young, still is young, so that's to be expected. But I know he's definitely been hitting the weights, and it shows when you look at him these days. So
Yeah, his fitness is crazy. I don't want to. I think I'm going to go with Alcaraz just because of what we just discussed. He's just kind of like relentless. However, I think it's going to go 3. I think
yeah,
it's going to be a really close match, but I think I'm going to take Alcaraz in this one.
hopefully it'll be similar to their U.S. Open match last year, which many people think is the match of the year, frankly. So that'd be really cool. They're both coming in with like huge wins. I mean, Sinner, you mentioned kind of emotionless. I think part of it is because he was playing Fritz, and it's kind of a home court for Fritz. When I was out there, people that were from the area or whatever, just tennis people, they were absolutely like, "Oh, you going to the Fritz match? Are you going to the Fritz match?" Like, it was a big occasion out there because he is from that area. People know his parents, all that kind of thing. So, and they've seen him, growing up and playing out there. And so yeah, that was a big mental win. And I think, they're very friendly, those two guys. So he just wanted to respect him as much as possible. And then Alcaraz's match with Felix was also a great match. And so yeah, you can't really say like either player will be more mentally fatigued than the other, but
No.
I will take Alcaraz just because I'm not going to doubt the guy twice in 2 podcasts.
Yeah. We made that mistake already, so.
Yeah, I think Alcaraz has won both times on hard court as well. The 2 times that Sinner won, I think one was on grass, one was on clay. So yeah, I think we got to take Alcaraz in that one.
Yeah.
Medvedev versus Tiafoe. Who you got?
Oh.
Head to head is 4-0 for Medvedev.
Oh man. That statistic, I was just going to pull it up right now to see what the head to head was.
Yeah.
I really like how Francis has been playing this tournament, though. I
Yeah.
really like how he's been playing.
The last time that
But
they played was Miami Open 2021. So a lot has changed, especially for Francis since then.
yeah, yeah. And Medvedev in this tournament in the past has lost so much earlier.
Yeah.
So
Definitely
it's
this run.
it's kind of cool to see him go this far. I think I'm going to take Tiafo though. I think I am. I don't even know if that's like taking a chance. I think it very easily could go that way.
Yeah, I think you're right. Even though Medvedev has the head-to-head 4-0, Tiafoe, he's the American. He'll definitely have most of the crowd. He's the last American left in the tournament. And obviously, coming
Crazy.
off that U.S. Open last year, everybody's really excited about him. Courts are pretty slow. I think it'll definitely be a match. I'm just gonna take Medvedev though. Just
Yeah,
he's won. He won 18 matches in a row or something right now? He's won 2 or 3. I think he's won 3 tournaments in a row coming into this. Seems like he's
crazy.
feeling very confident and kind of knows. Well, him and Alcaraz, right, on paper are probably the 2 best players, in the tournament to start, with Djokovic being out. So I think Medvedev's just playing with a lot of confidence, and Tiafoe will definitely keep it close, give it a fight, but I'm taking Medvedev in that one.
That's a good, yeah, I think that's a good pick as well. I don't know. It'll be
We can't
interesting.
have all the same picks as well.
No, we can't. I really think that either one of those matches could go both ways, honestly.
Yeah.
I know I've said that before and I've been incorrect, but I think for that.
It's exciting. So both those matches will be played tomorrow. We're recording this on Friday, March 17th. Those matches are on Saturday today. The women's semifinals are taking place. So the first one we have is Sakari and Sabalenka. They play tonight at looks like 5 p.m. Central. So 3 p.m. local time if you're out in the desert. Who do you got? Sakari, Sabalenka. Head to head, Sabalenka leads 4-3 and won the 2 most recent matches, including WTA Finals 2022. So that was at the end of the year last year.
Yeah, this is going to be, I think it's going to be a battle because Sakari is going to really want to get back to that final and kind of have redemption after last year. However, it could end up being the same final as last year, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But with how Arena's been playing, I'm going to take Arena. I just think that she's kind of on fire. And we've talked a lot about her finding her serve again and just how well she's been hitting that serve. Her service game is awesome right now. I think I'm going to go with Sabalenka. However, I think 3.
Yeah. I'm with you on this one. I think Sabalenka, just ever since she won the Australian Open, I mean, she had a good start to the year regardless. I think she's only lost 1 or 2 matches all year. I think it's just 1. So yeah, like you said, she's the girl on fire, District 13, and then Sabalenka's crushing it. I think I'm going to take her. But she's that player that just one off day. Like you never know. I think Sakari typically is a little more consistent, but we'll see. We'll see if she can do Fritz one better and get back to her final. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And then we have Swiatek and Rybakina. They played each other in the Australian Open.
Yeah, rematch of that. Head to head, 1-1 for that one. Who are you taking?
Oh, this one really, but I think it's kind of similar to Carlos. You can't really discredit or take out Iga. I think that she's gonna make the final.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the slower courts will help Iga more. I think she is definitely the better mover overall. Not that Rybakina isn't a good mover, but she's a little taller and she has a huge serve, and I think the slower courts make that less of a thing in the matchup. So yeah, I think both of us taking Swiatek here is probably the right pick on paper. We'll see. You never know. But
you never know.
But Iga defending champ, a lot of motivation to back it up. And yeah, but it is good that if you saw Swiatek was like, there's no more lack of consistency. Like the best players are in the semis here. Everybody deserves to be here. Everybody's top 10. And yeah, Rybakina deserves, she should be top 5. So only a matter of time before that happens. But
yeah, she's playing incredibly well. So
yeah,
I mean, love to, it could go either way for that one too. I just feel like, I don't know, Iga just seems so on right now. And yeah,
we'll see. No, number 1 for a reason. I mean, she's definitely been the most consistent and had the best results over the last 2 years. So I think, yeah. Okay, so knowing this, you have Alcaraz and Tiafoe in the final. No, is that, yeah, you picked Alcaraz. So who do you think there?
I'm going to take Alcaraz.
Yeah.
I love Francis. I just feel like Carlos is just, I don't know. He's just really unbelievable. He's like, I mean, they called him the best athlete in any sport. He's truly unbelievable to watch. He doesn't make any mistakes. He seems to have the mental game completely down. Like we said, we thought he was injured, which is why none of us picked him. But despite what we thought, he clearly is playing some really good tennis. So I'm going to take him.
Yeah. And I have Alcaraz, Medvedev. I'm also going to take Alcaraz. He's like the one player that, over the last 5-6 years, everybody's been asking who's like the player that's going to take over for the big 3. And several times it's been like, oh, at one point it was Zverev. Zverev's definitely going to be number 1. And then it was Tsitsipas, who upset Roger in Australia one year. And, there's just been this sort of group of people that they're like, oh yeah, this young guy, he's the next person. But Alcaraz is the only one that's actually been able to like do it and back it up. And just seems like he's got the complete package, almost no weaknesses in his game, tons of weapons, and mentally super strong. So got to take Alcaraz, I think.
Yeah. Do you think it could potentially go 3 sets?
Yeah. I mean, if it's regardless of who it is, I think more likely if it's Alcaraz, Medvedev, just because Medvedev, that would be the biggest result of Tiafoe's career to win Indian Wells, right? I mean, he made the semis of the US Open. So he's in the semis here. If he gets to the final, up to you if you want to say that's a bigger deal than making the open semis, but I just think it'll be a first time for Tiafoe in that situation. And Medvedev, obviously, very good in big situations. If you guys saw, he only beats Novak when he's ranked number 1. So he likes the big occasions, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's a good tournament. It's a great, couple semifinals 4 semifinals that we have.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch. Swiatek Sabalenka, is that who you picked in the final?
Yes.
What do you think?
I think that if anybody's going to defend the title, it's going to be Iga. And like you said, she plays well on slower courts. It suits her game really well. She's a great mover. I just feel like the way she's been playing, again, she's like Alcaraz in that aspect. She doesn't make many mistakes, if at all. And she just seems to be really in the right headspace. I know she didn't play very well in Australia, but maybe that just didn't seem to suit her game as well as the courts here in Indian Wells and the tennis paradise. So I'm going to go with Iga. I do think 3 sets for that one is a very high possibility, but I think she's going to come out with the edge if she makes the final.
Yeah, I was going to say she did have 1 set that went to 7-6 against Andreescu in the 3rd round, but she hasn't played a 3-setter yet. So she's been pretty convincing so far. Whereas some of the other players have had pretty tough matches, maybe a little more tired, feeling it in the legs. I'm definitely taking Iga to win to back it up. I just think she's the best mover and just kind of the most complete of all these players. So I'm with you. I guess we have the same 2 winners. And
there we go. And Iga's a Swiftie. Taylor Swift kicks off her tour today. So there we go. She just dropped 4 songs, 3 Taylor's versions, a song that we've never heard before. Anyways, wow. So we got our
concert that you're going to.
Yep, I will be seeing Miss Swift herself, the music industry. She is the music industry. On June 24th in Minneapolis. I'm Lower Bowl. I'll be real close to seeing her. I am so beyond excited. But yeah, our girl Iga, resident Swiftie. So I'm liking that pick.
That's tough for the Madison Golden salary, though. You know, she probably dropped 1 full year's worth on.
Yeah. Those we talked about the Hunger Games.
Yeah,
the Hunger Games to get tickets through Ticketmaster. All right, it was a battle.
100%. It's always the Hunger Games on there. If it's somebody big, I had the same experience trying to get tickets for Bruce Springsteen. I was unsuccessful. Sounds like you were successful, but luckily
it was tough. But you still got to see him.
Yep. Ended up a friend had some tickets, got very lucky, but man, pre-sales these days are tough. Speaking of music, Hozier, new EP dropped today. If you like Hozier, and I love Hozier, good one to check out. Maybe not quite the fan base of T Swift, but you know, quite talented.
People still like him. He's kind of trending on TikTok a little bit right now too.
Yeah.
Resurface videos.
Man is a poet. If you just listen to him talk, you're like, wow, this guy is on another level. So
I'll have to give it a listen.
And
love it.
We got a plug. Speaking of Alcaraz and Swiatek, last year's Miami Open champs. You met Laura Sunday in our last podcast. She and I will be going down to Miami tomorrow morning, flight at 6 a.m. So that's going to be fun. We're down there till April 3rd, the long stretch. TennisONE is the official app of this year's Miami Open. Once again, we're super excited about it. If you haven't followed it in the past, the difference for that means that we will be doing our own interviews down there after matches. I'll be, talking to some of the best players in the world just to get, some behind the scenes takes. We definitely try to ask more interesting questions than like just about what happened in the match. Unless something really interesting happens, by the time you see the interview, they've probably already played another match. So we ask things like, Coco, are you still on your parents' cell phone bill? Stuff like you're a Swiftie. Like we want to know the behind the scenes on the players. So we'll try to keep those fun for you. Those will be constantly updated in the app. So we'll have all that. If you're going to the tournament, obviously we'll have the map, we'll have parking, we'll have support chat on there. If you have questions, practice court schedule, things like that. So definitely will be an enhanced experience. the two things to mark down, if you're very interested in the Miami Open, we will be live streaming the draw reveals in our Crowd Live platform. The women's draw reveal is this Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. If you're on the grounds, it's underneath the big video boards on the south side of the stadium. So you can also watch it there in person if you're going to the tournament. The men's draw reveal will be Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. So they kind of stagger it at the Miami Open. They start the women's qualifying on Sunday, and then they start the men's qualifying on Monday. And so then the women's main draw will start, I believe, on Tuesday, and the men's on Wednesday. So sort of a staggered start for this one, which is a little different than Indian Wells. We'll also have bracket battle for Miami Open, which we'll be giving out $250 to the winner of each bracket. So
woohoo.
I mean, why wouldn't you do it, right, Madison? It's free to enter, literally no strings attached. We're just giving away money. And
it's fun.
So let's knock off.
It's fun to pick.
Yeah. Come on, let's get some new winners in there. Definitely check that out. It's super easy to make all your picks. You can even have the thing finish it for you if you want and just pick who's expected to win. Maybe sometimes that is a good method rather than trying to pick upsets. I don't know. But yeah, so we'll have all that. Again, since it's a staggered start, the women's bracket battle will be available first. And it'll be available probably an hour or two after the draw ceremony. So make sure you check both those things out in our app. We'll be flipping everything to Miami very early on Saturday, probably at midnight tonight. So
it's switching over. You'll see the orange.
You'll see the orange. We'll still have Indian Wells scores in there. So just go to the scores tab BNP Paribas Open, but Miami's our Super Bowl. App's going to be decked out.
Heck yeah, we're ready. We'll do a live podcast at some point from down there. Another draft, I think we talked about.
Yep, we'll have to do another draft back-to-back. We may have a special guest for that one. We'll see. We'll see if he decides to show up.
Well, thanks so much, everybody, for listening, and we'll catch you down in Miami.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Madison.